This is an SM Media production. Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of SM Media's Road to Cheltenham 2022. I'm Scotty Pike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. We're joined as always by from the Scottish Daily Mail, Calum McClurkin. Calum, how are we?
Yeah, all good. Recovering watching all that brilliant racing over the weekend. It was quite something.
Is it safe to say that this week we have been left with perhaps more questions than answers, for lack of a better term? With a week where we thought we would see a lot of impressive performances, which we did. I think it's maybe set us back because I think there's more things to pick out than perhaps definitive answers.
Yeah, for every impressive performance, there was kind of a blowout, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Some big shocking blowouts as well from some big names. It certainly changed the markets quite significantly. A lot of movement and certainly a lot to process at the moment.
I mean, it's one of these weeks where I think just you are expecting a lot of short price favourites to go even shorter, but I think a few short price favourites have went quite long in the department. But again, it's one of these weeks where we've just seen a lot of information on both sides. But we'll get straight into our questions. Let's start with the first question. Do we think Envoy Allen is overrated? I understand his bumper and hurdle form is very, very hard to throw stones at, but his chasing form hasn't been that impressive when you actually look at it. Do we think Envoy Allen is as good as people say he is? On you go.
Yeah. The hype train has probably been derailed a little bit, isn't it? The accusation against Envoy Allen over his hurdles and bumpers was that he wasn't really beaten much. And then when he came out, he wasn't beaten much. So visually, he looked good, but in graded company at the moment, it's not quite happened for him. He's probably had the odd difficulty with soundness, like injuries, chipping a joint, for instance, when he signed off last season.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's many excuses for him in the John Durkan, was there? Travelled okay in the first circuit, looked a threat, and then he just doesn't find too much, does he?
Would you say that's the only? I thought about this after the race. Would you say, apart from obviously we knew he wasn't fit at Punchestown, that's the only time he's really been off the bridle since possibly the Royal Bond a couple of years ago? Definitely since the bumper, but I can't remember him being fully off the bridle and really struggling. But it would be a concern.
He's a bit laboured, wasn't he? Suggests that he's had his limitations exposed a little bit. I think connections will maybe moot and step him up and trip and go 3 miles and see if that might spark something. But 8:10-1 for the Ryanair looks shocking, to be honest, doesn't it?
I mean, I didn't think he was a Ryanair horse to begin with going into the season, but even now you're thinking he's either a 2 miler, which I doubt he is. I don't think he's quick enough, or you could put him in a Gold Cup, but I don't think he troubles the front two in the market in the Gold Cup, to be honest. I just don't think I was disappointed because I really thought this would be a kind of step up for him, and I thought he would be able to do it, but he just didn't do it for me at all.
No, I always thought he was too short. He shouldn't have been favourite. There was no reason for him to really be favourite for that race.
Nah, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people thought with Allaho he needed the run, and we'll get into that later. But you could tell Allaho wasn't at his fittest, so you could maybe see, and especially the fact Rachel Blackmore rode Envoy Allen, you just thought, it seems to be that all signs to go that Envoy Allen seems, and obviously what he did in his return, which in that second season novice race up, he looked back to a really good bit of form then.
Yeah, again, looked to be good.
But,
once he's mixing it with Grade 1 companies, he's coming up short. And that was the first race really where you couldn't really offer too many excuses for.
No, I would agree with that again. But Envoy Allen, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes next. We'll move into our second question. Would you be worried about Willie Mullen's form over the weekend with really short prices like Kilcroot, Chacun Persois and LMA all been turned over and looking disappointing? We'll get into this in a wee bit as well later on, but when you say Willie Mullins has been disappointing, I know the 3 favourites blow over, but I've got it written down here. There's 6 horses in a row where we talk about Willie Mullins winners. So
Yeah,
it shows you, doesn't it?
Still operating 23%.
Yeah.
2 weeks, and I think that strike rate actually went up over the weekend rather than down. So not there were some puzzling performances from the ones that wanted. I just think we're just accustomed of to see Willie Williams will just win everything. It's maybe not the case. Maybe some of his stable stars are more backward than they are at this point. Maybe he's left a lot more on some, and maybe they're all at kind of different stages of fitness. No, I wouldn't be particularly worried about it. I think they'll probably come on. Maybe a bit concerning that for ones that haven't come out yet, because they'll probably be held back more. The lack of rain has been a problem for them in terms of getting a lot of their horses out. They've got so many options that they have to spread them across the board quite often, and they might have to clash with each other sooner than they'd ideally like.
Aye, there was a couple, obviously we'll get into the recap later on, but there was a couple of horses where you just thought they're just really, really not at it at all, like Shakan and Ellie May was particularly disappointing. Obviously one that I tipped up for a treble, which has now looked massive, that treble, but it was disappointing. It was a disappointing weekend for a few of these stars. But the next question we've got is, what are your thoughts on Garde du Sceau for the National Hunt Chase? Could he be that out-and-out stayer that Gordon Elliott likes to target for the National Hunt Chase?
He could be. He's got a lot of options, primarily run Wild Fred. So, yeah, he could go for a handicap as well. I think he is a talented horse, and I think they've got a lot of options with him, and just go steady and see how it goes. But I wouldn't put anyone off having a go at him for National Hunt Chase.
Garde du Sceau, Kim Muir. I think he could be a Kim Muir horse if he gets there. That's one of the things that catch my eye. Elliott usually throws a dart at the Kim Muir. In a couple of years, he'd a JP horse in it, so could that be the target?
Could be. There's plenty of options there. Ultima, if he does go up the handicap.
Yeah.
I quite like Smoking Gun as a potential Elliott Ultima Kim Muir horse. Sorry. So, yeah, he does target these kind of races with amateurs and conditionals rides, and he's got the jockey options that he has is quite significant as well. So yeah, he's a big player in these kind of races for sure. Yeah,
I mean, it's Gordon Elliott seems to he's having a particularly good rare form now. Obviously 7 winners at Navan on Saturday, but yeah, I could see Garde du Sceau being a Kim Muir horse. I do think I'm keen to see him in the next couple of weeks to see how he jumps a fence, but he does have the pedigree to be a really good jumper of a fence. So let's hope we see Garde du Sceau in the next couple of weeks. Final question: with the inevitability of a 5-day Cheltenham Festival in the pipeline, what 2 races would you add if it went to 5 days?
Quite a few options. Depends what way. It's 2.5 mile Grade 1 hurdle. So like a Ryanair hurdle would be one option. Maybe a veterans chase as well, although there's one at Sandown.
I love that Black Lion race the other day. That said, I imagine being targeted at a festival and things like that. That'd be great to see what the likes of them.
One of them for Cheltenham stuff.
Yeah,
would be quite good instead of them running the cross country or something like that. Yeah, you could have a mare's bumper, you could have a mare's novices chase if you're keen to expand that programme, or you could bring back the old 2.5 mile novices handicap race, which is normally quite good for punters. So plenty of options. I would personally maybe probably a mare's novices chase to expand that programme, and a 2.5 mile hurdle, Grade 1 lead.
I think there's enough room for a 2 mile 4 kind of Grade 1 hurdle. I think you could have that in like Ryanair Chase Day, and if Ryanair sponsor that, you could have like a Ryanair Thursday or something like that, just to, because you're obviously going to have that day where you're not going to have a championship race. So why do you not just have 2 big races? But you're obviously the mare's hurdles there as well. Is there going to be a lot of class turning up to that? I do think you can maybe see the card changing, because I know they've got that. Is it the race at Fontmell? Is it the Grade 2 hurdle? It's like I think it's over the same distance, 2 mile 4. I don't think that, and if they went to that, if that was the option they went, maybe put that at Cheltenham or something. I know that'd be terrible for Fontmell, but that would be a wee thing for me. I would like to see a veterans chase out. A veterans chase I think would be good. It would give horses like ASO and things like that a chance to have their wee moment at the festival, coming so close over the years. So that would be my opinion. I would maybe go for a 2 mile 4 hurdle and a veterans chase. That would be my 2. And I'd put them in the same day just to make that kind of extra day a bit more exciting.
yeah, these races, the ones that have kind of omitted are kind of big race at Sandown's Imperial Cup Day as well. So I mean,
Aye.
it's an important race for them there. The novices handicap chase has also been moved to Sandown as a result.
Yeah.
If Cheltenham do expand and they do go there, it does increase the argument that it weakens everything else. So I hope it doesn't happen, but it looks like it probably will at one point.
I can see it's inevitable. They're already talking about it for next year. But again, it's another thing we'll keep an eye on. If you want to send a question into the video, please leave it in the comments below or DM us or get us on social media. We'll leave the links in the comments and you can ask a question to myself and Calum. But we'll move on to a really busy recap. We will start off on Friday at Sandown. A couple of horses to mention. Forever Blessed for Harry Fry won the juvenile hurdle really impressively. He's into about 20-1 for the Triumph Hurdle. It was a really, really visually impressive performance. Do you think he could be a potential Triumph horse?
He could be, but as a Phil Door backer, I'm not too concerned yet. It was a good performance. He could improve, but yeah, I'm not overly worried.
I thought it was good. I thought there was a lot to take out of it. There was, but again, if you're Phil Door, whose form got a boost during the weekend as well, I don't think you'd be too concerned. But yeah, Forever Blessed, a good one for Harry Fry. Next one, a nice one for Tom Lacey called Lossiemouth. Won the Grade 2 Ballymore trial by 14 lengths. 25 for the Ballymore, 20 for the Ballot. It's unclear if it could go in that direction. It was very, very good. The only thing is, after in the second lash, you were wondering if he was going to stay on his feet because he made a bad error.
He made a big mistake, but visually, it never really knocked him out his stuff.
Nah.
And the way he ran to the line was quite impressive. It was a good performance. You could probably query the form in behind. It might not have been the strongest trial in the world, but you can only do what he did, and the time was quite smart by all accounts. So 25s isn't too bad.
Jaggett could step up.
He could go up and trip, and he certainly wasn't slow in the line, but he's not short of gears. He was pulling away quite comfortably. So I think he's got the blend of both. I think both are certainly open to him for sure. I'd probably lean towards Ballymore. I wouldn't rush to step him up and trip in evidence of that. Yeah, you can maybe even see him lining up in a channel or something. But yeah, it was a good performance, a good horse for Tom Lacey. Pylon won a Pertemps qualifier. He's into about 16s for the Pertemps. It's a good qualifier. Horses like the Cobb. Al Dancer was in 4th for Sam Thomas, who was a particularly good eye catcher. What was your kind of overall takeaways for that Pertemps qualifier? Yeah, Pylon was good. I did mention he does have this kind of workable mark from his Martin Pipe effort a few years ago, where he was heartbrokenly beaten by Indefatigable. That was a good performance. And it did answer that kind of niggling stamina doubt of his last effort when he did qualify in a previous one. So he's certainly a player there, and you can see why he's pushed up to the head of the market, because he's still slightly ahead of the handicapper, I think. Yeah, I was impressed. Yeah, I would maybe have a wee squeaking Al Dancer. I think he's got a bit more to find over hurdles, but yeah, I would certainly appreciate him going over hurdles rather than fences. He just wasn't a brilliant jumper at all. Saturday Raintree, let's get into it before I start crying. Ellie May, very disappointing. Zambella was very, very good. Beat Annie Mag, was a really game performance by her. Before we talk about the winner, Ellie May, how disappointing was that, considering how hopeful we were that she would just go and win the Mayor's Chase? Very flat, but these mares can have like one bad performance and absolutely fine. So I wouldn't be too downbeat on it. There's plenty of time to turn things around. It just takes one run to kind of rewrite the ship. It's certainly not in her profile to do that. She tends to normally run remarkably consistent. Maybe it was too cold for her. She didn't hate the weather, or she did go over to Carlisle when that was off, and then had to go back again. Maybe having 2 quick trips hasn't helped her. I think that's what Ian Coleman was hinting at, that might be the issue. But certainly haven't really physically found something, to my knowledge anyway. So yeah, it's disappointing, and that depends how much you're willing to forgive certain horses for the odd bad run. It's not in her makeup to do it, and she just never looked happy and wasn't at the races. Just wasn't her day. But Zambella was good as well, wasn't she? Yeah, and Nigel Twiston Davis gets these horses as fit as anything for these races, and he was quite good. I thought Annie Mac would find a bit more, travelling it quite well, and just thought just kind of expecting it to pick up and win, but didn't quite happen for her for some reason. Maybe she needed the run a little bit. It was a decent race. LMA was in trouble for a long way in it.
I mean, we'll move on to C Sessions in the Fillies Juvenile. Phil Dawes' form got a boost with a really nice performance by C Sessions. She's into it 25-1 for the Triumph, but you must have been excited as a Phil Dawes fan watching C Sessions win.
It's a nice boost, yeah. White Pepper, the likely winner, made a big mistake. She was going to win well back to a week for that race, and it's the other Irish horse that's coming in one. She's improved for that effort. She had quite decent back form before she met Phil Dawes as well, and I think soft ground has played her strengths quite markedly. So whether she is genuinely graded class, I'm unsure about, but it's certainly a good victory, and it's a nice little boost for Phil Dawes backers. Yeah,
great boost for Phil Dawes backers. The Many Clouds Chase, Protectorate won it really, really well. 16th for the Gold Cup. Before we talk about his future aspirations, did the race fall apart a wee bit?
Yeah, in terms of depth, it did. I don't think Native River was quite the force of old that he was. He didn't really fire too much. Imperial Aura unshipped again. Yeah, it did. But the doubt over Protectorate was where he see it out, and he certainly did, more so than I think a lot of people expected. He's really strong at the line. It was quite impressive visually by it, but again, once he comes out next time, is there going to be stronger form lines? Would you back him over the top two in the Gold Cup mark at the moment? Not really.
I don't think he's a Gold Cup horse. I thought it was really good visually. I thought it was very impressive, but just Gold Cup, I just don't. I think he's an entry horse. Like, he obviously won the Grade 1 last year, but I just don't see him being a Gold Cup horse this year anyway.
Yeah, it might be a bit too soon for him. He's only 6 as well. Entitled to go for it if you win a Many Clouds like that.
Aye,
he ran quite well at Cheltenham in the handicap, behind Midnight Shadow. So I wouldn't pigeonhole him as a horse for just one track or another. He seems to be quite versatile in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good performance. We'll see what happens next. I don't know where they're going to go next, but yeah, I was quite taken by it. Snow Leopardess won the Beecher in excellent fashion as well. You just jump perfect. Just a lot of really nice jumps you could see there. Won by a nose, which I was surprised at 3 hours. I thought she was just going to go and win it, but obviously there was a lot of horses in behind who tried to give her a serious race. She looks more of a national horse, doesn't she?
Definitely, yeah. The slog and the soft conditions would certainly suit. She's given an aggressive ride to kind of make it that stamina contest that she likes from the front, and she just about held on. Hill 16 ran really well in second. It was closing. A couple of names get taken out. Mighty Thunder get taken out for the race, which might have been quite a smart call. So I imagine he got to Warwick before the national. The winner won well. Deserves a day in the sun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was brilliant to see Charlie Lawson get the winner there. Sandown, there's a lot to mention in Sandown, but there's 3 big things. Constitution Hill, a horse that really came from nowhere to now be about 10-3.72 for the Supreme for Nicky Henderson. The main I was looking to see Might Eye, but this horse really caught my eye. Constitution Hill was very, very impressive.
Yeah, all power. It was a really classy performance. Well backed overnight to turn over Might Eye, who's a decent. To my eye, I thought it was slightly better than John One.
So did I. I thought it was far better than John. I thought it was a lot physically better than John One.
Favourite. John Bond's just got that more of a background story and reputation and hype and pedigree than him. But that's why these novice races, even Supremes, where you think it's well-established markets, it can flip quite easily when you haven't seen a lot. And Constitution Hill's just came from nowhere and is now favourite.
What do we think next for Constitution Hill? Is it potentially going to the Tolworth, or is it maybe something else lined up for him?
Seems John Bond will go to the Kennel Gate.
Okay.
At Ascot, so imagine he might go to Newbury. A hurdle race at Shishkin won.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you can go a wee bit further. No, that's over 2 mile 2, I think. So he could probably go there. No, there's plenty of options for him. Could go to Kempton, for instance. we'll see how he comes out of that first, and I'm sure Nicky Henderson will pick the right target for him.
Yeah, I think Nicky Henderson could have a really strong hand in the Supreme. The Henry VIII Novices Chase, let's get into it. Edwardstone was very, very good. It was a really good time, but third time lucky. I think I love Harry Skelton as a jockey, but did he think he was in Franco in the Guineas? Because what was he doing? Why did he go so quick?
It was a bit mad. It really was. I don't know. You're utilising his jumping ability and his boldness to kind of get others out.
There was a couple of fences where he was absolutely majestic at.
Yeah, he's very feast or famine, isn't he? In the way he's
Yeah.
jumping it. Does remind me a little bit of Mankind last season. The way he's kind of charging into things and how he goes about it, but he can be ridden patiently, as he did in the Cheltenham handicap.
I think Ruby made a good point. Ruby said right after the race on Racing TV that where else was the pace coming from? Did he think he would just go and blitz them from the front? And probably does look like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and Sandown's kind of hard track. It's a stiff finish, and it looked inevitable that he was going to get caught and get chinned for second, didn't he, by Warlord as well? So that does confirm that it did probably go way too quick. Yeah, he just has a tendency to do that sometimes. You get a bit of criticism for the riding Shan Blue in the Charlie Hall, and even at him at Cheltenham, he's just maybe overdoing it a little bit from the front. And when it works, it looks very good. When it's timed right, but if you get the fractions slightly wrong, then in trouble. And you also give the horse a really hard race as well. Do quite well to come out of that. I'd expect him to be in a lengthy break after that effort. And the railway fences as well. If you lose your rhythm there, it's really hard to maintain a gallop there. He made a mistake at a couple of them.
Yeah, but we have to mention Edwardstone, who's went into about tens for the Arkle for Alan King. He just picked up the pieces really well, didn't he?
He did. He was always tracking. He was always in the right place. He was travelling comfortably. His jumping is getting better. I think he did jump more or less the best out of them. It's just a horse that's never quite done it for me for some reason. Probably because he did me out of Doncaster when he did unseat, and I've got that imprinted in my mind. 10-1 Arkle, it's fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being lucky out to 25s, and if he would also like better ground third time lucky as well, and that would give him more of a chance to stay. And it's just whether he'd see it out anywhere really with that attitude of life. But maybe 25-1 pushing him out is a bit of an overreaction from tens, because I think he'll probably have a big break, and maybe he's also quite better fresh as well.
You might not see him until Cheltenham.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's a good idea, because his best run was his debut.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than his second run, where I thought he was tying up near the finish.
Yeah,
and obviously he's done likewise here in the home straight, so he'll be freshening him up, and people forget about him. And 25-33-1 each way might be worth doubling it.
I mean, it's interesting to see, but I was really impressed with Edwardstone. I had him on my radar on Saturday before in my column, but we'll move into the Tingle Creek. Before we get into talking about a couple of disappointments for the week that Bryony Frost had, how good was it to see her win this race on a really good performance from Greaneteen?
Fantastic, yeah, brilliant for her. She's been in the firing line in the BHA hearings over the allegations made to Robbie Dunn, of course, for overbullying, and that's continuing this week. So it's been tough times off the track, but her professionalism on it is unbelievable, and it's a 6th Grade 1 in her career as well. At the age of 26, and she's not the main rider for Paul Nicholls, but she's picking up all these kind of good rides, good quality. The second string is as much of a chance as the first string, and things like that. So yeah, I was very impressed. Greaneteen did it really well. He loves Sandown as well, that horse.
I mean, I thought it was really good as well. Nube Negra and Chacun Persois. Nube Negra, I just think it didn't suit. I don't think conditions suit at all. Chacun Persois, you're expecting a lot more.
Again, on Nube Negra, I think he's probably best fresh as well.
Yeah.
I'd advocate having a big long break with him and coming back fresh for Cheltenham if he was mine. That seems to suit him quite well. I think the ground was a bit testing, and it'll get a bit too attritional for him. Chacun Persois, well, he get the perfect setup, a freebie in front, and his jumping just kind of fell apart, and
That's the worst I've ever seen him jump.
Once he's headed again, like at Cheltenham, he finds next to nothing.
Yeah.
I think he needs to be run so aggressively, and it takes a lot out of him. He's going to come out and sometimes bomb. And also, his two worst runs of his life have both came in England. He might not be the best traveller in the world, coming across the water.
I would agree with that. I think I just don't know. No, I think when you look at Energamine, and I know Energamine beat nothing, but he just looked a bit more. They just looked a bit more of an out and out kind of proper 2 mile. I just don't think Ante Post finds a lot, and I like the horse. He blows you away. Like his performance in the Irish Arkle last year, not the Irish Arkle, the Dublin Chase, sorry, was probably one of the best jumping performances you'll see. But just when he's tested when he's given something to do, you just don't see that same spark.
No, the spark seems to be missing when he comes across the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For whatever reason, because it's quite hard to
even when Plutard beat him last year. Was it last year or the year before? You saw that you didn't. He just struggled to find.
Yeah, I think once he gets headed, I think he's.
No.
He just kind of chucks it. It's over really, because the way he's aggressively ridden, is his main asset, and once he's taken on, if he makes a mistake and then he can be taken on as a result of that, I think he just kind of drops it, to be honest.
Nah, but a great one for Bryony Frost and Greaneteen. Obviously, it's pulling a 12th win in the race, I think, which is an unbelievable achievement. But we'll move into Navan, basically the Gordon Elliott show. A few Gordon Elliott horses to mention. Ginto was very, very impressive. Good performance in the Grade 2. 12-1 for the Bartlett. It was between She Wears It Well and Ginto last week with my tip, and I went for She Wears It Well, so I've lost the price. But there's a lot to like about Ginto. Obviously, a hype horse maybe last year, just has come in really well this year. Obviously beat a good horse in Eric Bloodaxe, but there's a lot to like about this.
Yeah, I thought it was a good race. I think the two of them are quite interesting. I do think Eric Bloodaxe might be my number one Martin Pipe kind of.
Yeah, I think he's a Martin Pipe horse.
For that assignment for a long, long way. I think it'd be ideal for it. And I think Ginto is probably Albert Bartlett bound. I do think he jumped slightly right.
I thought that as well.
And he reminds me a lot of Farrach Delane at this stage last season.
He was also quite impressive
He's also quite impressive, but he never made Cheltenham because he jumps a little bit to the right as well. Yeah. He's still like Navan in a way, so it's kind of weird. He's certainly going to be on everyone's radar. He's got Hollow Games. He's got plenty of Bartlett types that are emerging, aren't they? And you'd imagine he'd go there, but they'd want to split up Hollow Games and Ginto. I'd imagine at the Cheltenham Festival. I don't think the Morans want them to clash. If
you were to give me Ginto or Hollow Games, I think I would pick Ginto. I think Ginto visually impressed me a lot more and just looked a better fit for 3 miles. I just don't think Hollow Games he wasn't that impressive to me, so I would probably pick Ginto out of the two of them.
Yeah, probably. I think there's a bit more kind of sparkle and zest to Ginto's overall form rather than Hollow Games's.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll move into the handicap hurdle there. It was won at 40-1 by Commander of Fleet, who was completely out the radar for a lot of people. He's sitting about 20-1 for the Stairs. It was a good handicap performance, but I think he's qualified for the Pertemps as well, so he could maybe run in the Pertemps off a really high weight and maybe do maybe be hard to catch in there.
Yeah, he was 150, wasn't he? Oscar was 150, so you're looking at that kind of rating. He fell in a Pertemps qualifier last time, so he's still not qualified. But Gordon Elliott has said that he will try and get him to qualify.
Yeah, that's.
I imagine he'd go up significantly for that, and he'd probably have to go up to qualify as well. So he might be handicapped out of it.
You had for Cano in the race, didn't you?
Yeah, he was a bit disappointing, but the market kind of. One bookmaker cut him into 12-1, so they're obviously thinking the same plot lines as me. Might not just be that. I was expecting him to find a little bit better, to be honest.
Yeah.
For pressure, I was hoping he'd show more, but he was ridden really quietly again, like many of them are at this stage of the season. So yeah, I wouldn't be. I'm neither down or up by his effort, but Commander Fleet was good. He's got good old back form. He's second to Bartlett.
Yeah, Manel Ando.
So I mean, can get in it, if he's getting back, and that's a sign of it, then maybe he'll go back to graded company sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It was completely off my radar. But one wee horse to mention in this, and is a horse. She's a horse that frustrates the life out of me. Burning Victory, obviously a Triumph Hurdle winner. She just can't jump.
No, she can't. It's amazing that she won the Triumph. Really, she travelled okay up to a point, and then it was a bit of a jumping test towards the end when the pace lifted. She didn't really respond to that at all, and just clattered through them. I know people get a mind in the mare's hurdle. Keep her to 3 miles. I maybe chanced it in the stairs. There is a lot less jumping involved in the stairs hurdle, which would be advantageous.
Yes, I mean there was a lot to like about her, and that's Cesarewitch behind Buzz. Like, she was excellent that day, but just when you put a hurdle in front of her, nah, not for me. But yeah, I mean, Commander of Fleet, there's a lot to like. I mean, if he picks up that ballot, if he goes back to that ballot form, he's probably got a good chance in a stairs hurdle. But final horse to mention at Navan, Riviere de Tel, 10-1 for the Arkle. Obviously, another really good chasing performance. The only thing about her to me is you do notice how right she jumps, particularly when she's the final two. She jumped very right. She actually jumped so right that she nearly took out one of the things on the side.
The wings, yeah. She just adjust right. I think when she jumps at speed, she's a little bit better.
Aye.
I'll jump so quick that the way she shifts, it's not really that problematic. That's how good and fast she is. Another slight concern in the back of my mind would be her allowances will kind of be more or less wiped out at the turn of the year.
She'll only get the £7, won't she?
She'll only get the mare's one, not for age, which again might be a bit of a negative.
I would back her in like see if in the Arkle, is it the Arkle, the one in Christmas, Boxing Day at Leopardstown, I think she could be getting all the allowances that day. I think I'd maybe back her there.
Again, that'll be left-handed as well, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens if she jumps right, and it'll be exposed maybe in Grade 1 company now, but she's picked up these kind of wee mares races quite well, these soft graded races. And yeah, she's definitely entitled to have a shot at Grade 1 next.
Yeah, let's get into a wild Sunday though. There was a lot of storylines to take. Where else to start but Caught? But we thought we were going to see an exhibition from Kilcrew. Obviously, one of last year's star bumper horses. It was turned over at 1-14, which I've been told is the highest priced favourite in Ireland to ever be beaten. So Largy debut. Let's get into the race. Largy debut beat Kilcrew. What was your overall thoughts after the race?
I think the winner is not getting enough credit for what he deserves, personally. And the second, Kilcrew, they've still put an ocean in behind, really. There's a massive gap in behind. So he might have bumped into one in a way, but his jumping towards the end was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was slow and leaping up in the air, and maybe they'll find something, but it's still, I mean, he could be the best bumper horse in the world. You said with Burning Victory, for instance, jumping is the name of the game, and if you're not going to do that properly, then you're in trouble. I don't think I was ever happy at one point with him, to be honest. Particularly when the taps came on and he looked a bit laboured. He was sort of made to look laboured by the winner.
What do you think? What do you think's next for Kilcrew? I know we're kind of overlooking how impressive the De Bromhead horse was. Largy debut. He's about 14 for the Supreme. He was good. You wonder if you would like to see it again to see if he's just been wild on a crazy day. Like, you want to see how he performs next. But Kilcrew, what's next? What do you do now? You've got this horse who we were all thinking, yeah, he's a Supreme horse. Willie Mullins has said he's a Supreme horse. What do you do with him now if he's maybe not an out-and-out 2 miler?
You just go to another main hurdle and see if he improves and gets better. It's just his first run over hurdles. He's a novice. You've got all the horses with reputation that are being a bit dented, but then you've got horses like Constitution Hill that kind of come from nowhere and jump. So it's a completely different sphere, and you just run him another main hurdle and hope for better, and hope that he can show his true potential. Maybe stepping up in trip might be advantageous for him, because I think the only thing we genuinely learned, was as the race developed, the worse he kind of looked, to be honest. He looked a bit slow. in comparison to winner. I think maybe 2.5 miles might be the way to go potentially.
Yeah, that was my first thought. I think they're going to potentially, if Sir Gerhard going over the Ballymore trip and Kilcroot Supreme.
And on the 1 to 14 thing, should a horse ever go off 1 to 14?
No.
You don't know how it jumps for a start. Why the hell would you back into 1 to 14? I've got no idea. On a hurling debut as well.
No, it was crazy. It was crazy. But you were just expecting to go and absolutely smash up and be 5 to 2 for the Supreme. You were just there was no other thought went into your head that he was just going to go and win.
Yeah, but then on debuts should be enough to put anyone off at that price. Even putting multiples on, what is the point? It's absolutely worthless. Shortest price favourite ever beaten in Ireland on record anyway, I think.
Aye, but again, it's interesting to see where Kilcroot's going to go next, because there's no doubt there's talent there, but you want to see how he bounces back for this. Willie Mullins did have a nice horse after that, though, called Dysart Dynamo, who won really well. 10 to 1 for the Supreme, about 12 to 1 for the Ballymore. He was impressive. He was good.
He was good, and he'll learn a lot from it because he was quite green and keen looking around as well. So you'd imagine he'd come on. The time was exactly the same as the first division of the maiden hurdle as well. So yeah, again, he looked quite good, and I'd certainly not be rushing to step him up and trip at the moment as well, because there's a lot of debate about whether he'd go here or maybe go to the Ballymore down the line. We'll certainly stick with 2 miles at the moment for him.
Yeah, I think he could be a 2 mile horse, yeah, but it was a good performance from Dysart Dynamo. Concertista, obviously a really good hurdler, went and won her first Mares Novices Chase. She's into 3 to 1 for the Mares Chase. She kept on well. It was an excellent performance, a second from Jeremy's Flame. Were you impressed with Concertista?
Yeah, I do wonder for a stamina in the Mares Chase though.
First thing I thought was Arkle. I'll be honest, I think she could be an Arkle horse, but does he have enough darts to throw at that?
Probably does, but it's a different ownership, so they might want to have a go. I say Arkle. It's a grade 1 as well. Mares Chase is only a grade 2, so if she's still good enough against novices, then you might as well have a try at it. And I think she's just more of a 2 mile than a 2.5 mile. So at the Mares Hurdle, when it was kind of outstayed, the only way she lost that. It could happen again in the Mares Chase, and the Mares Chase was attritional last year when Ellie May get outstayed by
Colreevy,
who does stay 3 miles. So perhaps an Arkle is probably the best Cheltenham option for her.
Yeah, I think 3 to 1's too short for the Mares Chase. I think she could be potentially an Arkle horse, but she did jump well. There was a lot to take out of her jumping. She was
good fortune in Magic Days in third, who was still hanging in there until the last, and she's definitely not out of that picture. Jeremy's Flame running well, who's been running well in defeat to the likes of Riviere de Tel, I think.
Yeah.
So, they're a good bunch of Mares novices there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But Concertista's obviously one to keep an eye on. Energamine is into 11 to 4 for the Champion Chase. Won the Hilly Way in really, really good fashion, probably as easy as you can get. You can argue it didn't beat a lot, but nice to see him back.
Yeah, I love this performance. I thought it was the best of the week for me. Notebook tried to go with him. A race fit Notebook, who jumps really well. Electric and open company outside of Cheltenham. He's a 160 operator. And Energamine's came out in the stable of it, and even a bit of a cloud under some of their other big names, and he's came out and he's just done it so easily. It's effortless the way he goes through it. I think he should be short in relation to Shishkin. On the back of that, I thought that was a career best from him.
I thought the first thing I thought was he was maybe too short, but
everyone's short in it.
Aye.
But I think in comparison to price of Shishkin, I would rather have Energamine at 11.
Shishkin, aye, without a doubt. I think Shishkin's way too short, but I said that last year when he was at price. But yeah, it was a lot to like. I mean, the thing with Energamine is he can stay. Like when he won his beginner's chase last year, you were thinking he could be an RSA horse.
He looks like he could go over any trip, really.
Yeah, he looks very versatile.
I appreciate it last year. I mean, he looks like one of these horses that can, any trip, any speed, any pace, it wouldn't bother him. Energamine just likes to go forward. And, I mean, he had a lot of pace pressure there from a race fit rival in his first out of open company, and it's completely swatted. Notebook aside, I was really impressed by it.
Yeah, it was.
There's a bit more substance now going going behind the kind of the hyping that was there before. He is better on soft ground though, so that might be a niggling doubt come spring.
Yeah, definitely. But he's definitely it excites the champion chase picture. We've got two probably stars in that division. Punchestown, let's get into the John Durkin. Allaho won it. You can argue Allaho wasn't fresh or wasn't impressive, but a big mention as well for Janadal in second. But what was your overall takeaways from the John Durkin?
I've watched this race 10 times and I still can't make head or tail of what happened towards the end of it. That's how wild it was.
How would the Stadium for Longe have won?
I think he probably would have.
So
Coming out swinging, but again, he just got
that. He's just a head banging into
his own view on life, doesn't he? And threw in a mistake, which he tends to do. So he could potentially be a King George horse. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
But it's just jumping under pressure that's done for him. Allaho, that was a big run on debut.
Does it tell you? Does it paint one or two pictures? Does it paint a picture that Allaho's better than everything in the race, or that just the fact that everything in the race just didn't run well at all? If Fakir Duderé just went out like a light Envoy Allen, is Allaho just far better than all of these horses?
On ratings, yes, and on Ryanair performance, yeah. So even though he's not fully fit, he still won, and he did have a lead, and he wasn't really under pressure apart from the Stephen Forlonge where he applied pressure then made a mistake. I mean, Yanadil was coming towards the end, he still fended them off.
Ran a stormer. So did Mellon, to be fair.
Class get him through that race. Fact, the main principles just disappointed. You think in Fakir Duderé's race fit, I think he'll run well. He's probably a bit better going left-handed now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he shaped as if 3 miles might be better. He was made to look one paced towards the end, as did Envoy Allen. I think that's why they're trying to look 3 miles for him. But that was a big run in debut from Allaho. He doesn't normally do that in debut. And
no.
He's going to go either one or two ways. He's going to either take a long time to recover for it, or he's going to keep going, get even better. I'm not sure what way it'll go. It might be the latter, because I thought that was a really hard race in debut.
5-2 for the Ryanair. Is that too short now, or do you think he's entitled to be that?
On last year's running, it's all the same players, really, isn't it? So he's definitely favourite. I wouldn't play him at 5-2 personally at the moment. I'd be holding fire.
Nah, I just think it shows you how impressive it was, considering how it wasn't fit. You could tell he wasn't fit. I don't think a Stadium for Longe won. I have always said with Stadium for Longe, I think the further you step him up, the better he could jump. I don't know. You can't trust him.
Oh, he's undoubtedly talented, but
yeah,
jumping.
Yeah, jumping as well. Yeah, but Allaho really good in the John Durkin. Obviously goes into short price for the Ryanair to defend his title. Fernie Hollow opened his chase account in good fashion. Obviously 92 for the Arkle. Also the potential of going for the Marsh. It's difficult to see if Mullins is going to split these two horses. But Fernie Hollow, he was under pressure with a good race. He done it quite well.
Yeah, wasn't blown away by him, but he'll come on for it, and he always had an injury layoff as well, so we're going to come on even more for that. Let's look at 2 miler. Arkle seems to be the way to go. He's probably the right favourite given his profile. So yeah, it was a satisfactory start rather than mind blowing thing. He's certainly you wouldn't if you're the decent novice, you wouldn't be running away from him at the moment. But he does have gears, and his engine is very good, I think. So he can certainly brush up and jumping and keenness as well. He's probably a bit fresh. So yeah, he's bound to improve from that run.
Yeah, I thought it was good. When it comes to looking at this race, so obviously I appreciate it still leads the market. I don't see him running them both in the same race, do you?
Probably not. No, if one of them shapes up, Willie Mullins might. I mean, he's ran 6 in the 10-field John Durkin, so I mean, so many. Armory that they're bound to race.
Just you don't see him having a Marsh. There's not a Marsh contender with a Willie Mullins name on it, is there? Like,
not at the moment that's coming out that I can see. Sealed Inez was quite good. He probably got a Marsh. There will undoubtedly be horses that will come up on the pack, and they will collide. You just have to wait to see what Appreciate It does, and form an opinion around that.
Yeah, definitely. But the final horse we'll mention at Navan on Sunday was a nice horse that won the bumper for all the Game of Thrones fans. Sandor Clegane for Paul Nolan, 16-1 for the bumper. It's unclear if it goes in that direction, but there was a lot to like. Nice performance.
Aye, nice for the Nolans to have a good kind of looking horse after what happened to late sex.
Yeah.
That was a good performance. American Mike does seem to be the standout candidate at the moment. He's one that can improve, and it's obviously the really early days, and each way he might have a chance. We'll see what happens when he goes up in class.
Does the name Facile Vega ring a bell to you?
It does. It's Mullins's talking horse.
Yeah, this could be anything. This horse, if you hear reports.
Yeah.
Is he a bumper horse? I mean, is bumper the plan for him?
Yeah, so who knows?
We didn't know who he was until last week, but
exactly.
He's in a lot of markets in the bumper.
Again, you can't bet on race.
No.
It's just lunacy, isn't it? Just wait and see him run, and hopefully lives up to that hype.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure he's out of Covega, and I think he's walking the park.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
That's a pretty good pedigree as it is. But yeah, I mean, it's the bumpers. American Mike looks to be leading the market. There's not a lot come out since it's really put a thing on it. But Sandlock again shaped really well. Couple of horses to mention at Huntingdon. Brinkley beat Oscar Elite. He's about 25, so Brown Advisory. I know you like Oscar Elite, but Brinkley was decent. I thought it was a decent performance.
Yeah, Oscar Elite was running too aggressively for me. He engaged in a battle with Brinkley, who's an absolute slugger. He really will stay all day.
A typical David Pipe horse, isn't it? Just stay and stay and stay.
Yeah, he was native river colours as well, of course.
Yeah.
Absolute cast iron stairs on ground that was kind of deteriorating a little bit. Oscar Elite gets a mark, and he's mid 130s. He'd be very interesting in an Ultima if they go that way. I think he would be really, really interesting if they went that way.
Yeah.
He doesn't quite have that. I was expecting a little bit more. When he fell last time, he started. He did kind of have a look around. He did back off a couple of fences near the start, but he did gradually warm up, and he travelled into it quite well. But he was outstayed, so you wouldn't go National Hunt Chase because that might happen again, and he might not quite be good enough in a warm-looking festival novice chasing the likes of Gallop and Deschamps, for instance, and Ahoy Senior and Brave Man's Game. If they all turn up, is he really going to beat them?
No.
See, if you preserve a mark around 140, 145, and he's £10 in hand there at the moment, he'd be very interesting in an Ultima. I would think.
Yeah. Final race to mention. If there was a horse that I thought over the weekend was not going to win, it would have been First Flow in the Peterborough Chase. What about this race? This was, I just didn't see this coming at all.
Yeah, he's got some good back form in these kind of races, First Flow. It might not be the biggest shock.
Just thought the ground, I just thought he's a soft ground horse. Yeah, just thought this would be.
Class is probably won him the day, really, hasn't it? His rating. It's quite good. He does jump right all the time, doesn't it? So
yeah,
you think it'll need to be an absolute bog for him to feature in a champion chase or something like that. But it was a good performance and a bit of stamina as well to see out. He's a strong stay at the trip. So yeah, it was an interesting race. All Mankind, I think, just kind of folded a little bit. Might have been the old Rowan, I think, probably took a lot out of him.
Yeah. I don't think we're seeing a Cheltenham Festival winner in this race, have we?
Yeah, unlikely, I think.
Nah, unlikely. But that was our rather long and rather detailed recap for this week. Take a look at what's coming up. We've got another busy weekend. We've obviously got the Cheltenham December meeting. We're recording this on a Monday, so we're miles away from the December meeting. Anything early on catching your eye?
See Layla's favourite for the Padfield Gold Cup, but I thought that, like Protectorate, he needed a step up in trip, so I wouldn't be going overboard to back him at 4-1 at the moment. There's an entry in the Grade 2 chase. Would be My Drogo could clash with Bob Ollinger. That would be quite a spectacle, and just keep an eye on these novice hurdlers. Both of them will come out the woodwork and see what Nicky Henderson has coming out as well, because I think he's got a lot of talent. Balco Coastal was one as well.
Yeah.
well yesterday at Huntingdon. He's kind of been overlooked in that packet. Doddy the Great, Iron Maximus could come on. John Bond, Constitution Hill. I did think he'd have a strong hand of novice hurlers this year. It seems to be materialising that way.
Yeah, the only one I quite like early on is in the international hurdle. I think Adagio will be hard to beat. I do think I do fancy Adagio for that, to be honest.
Yeah, he does look a bit. He could be a class above, doesn't he? See, Bally Adam might be going back hurling as well down the line. Interesting to see what way he goes. Yeah, hopefully they all turn up and it'll be another good weekend of racing.
Yeah, I mean, as well, we've got good racing at Doncaster. We've got a juvenile hurdle. Porticello leads the market for that early doors. And we've got the December Novices Chase at Doncaster, 300 through 5. And I think this is their fourth meeting against each other. 300 through 5 and Does He Know are going to probably line up against each other. But I mean, it's really early days. We'll obviously be through the week, be keeping everyone up to date with the entries and things like that. But yeah, it could be another good week of racing, couldn't it?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, the Cheltenham December meeting's always quite good. Midnight Shadow might even run in that as off top weight. Maybe Dashel Drasher as well if the ground's suitable. So yeah, it's always a nice handicap, and probably the last really good week of racing before the Christmas deluge happens.
Yeah, we also have a horse running. I just noticed this there when I was just looking through the entries. There's a horse run potentially running on Friday who has been a cliff horse of both of ours, who's now changed trainer and running in a grade 3 handicap at Cheltenham. What is stab a guess at who it is?
No idea.
Trained by Polly Gundry.
Oh, is it Santini?
It's Santini, yeah. I didn't even know he'd changed stables.
Yeah, I've never really liked Santini. To be honest, I don't think I've ever backed him.
I've backed him once. I backed him in the Albert Bartlett, I think, where he finished third. I think that's the only time I've ever backed him. But he's a horse that's caught my eye a lot of times. We've been talking about him not for the best reasons a lot of times, but yeah.
See if he runs well.
He's got cross country written all over him.
Yeah, potentially down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's potentially where I think he could be. Yeah, but it's going to be another exciting week's racing ahead. We will now move on to our Ante Post Picks, and we'll put them up on the screen just now. We're kind of getting into the stage now where we've got a few in there. Is there anything catching your eye that you like the look of since you picked it?
No, probably still Phil Dawes, deserving triumph favourite still. It's probably hard in that position. The C Sessions given the back form a little bit of a boost as well. So I think he's probably still number one by some way there. I'd have liked to see Fulcano run a bit better, but the market didn't really change. So I'm not too bothered by that. It's shaping up okay at the moment, I think.
We are going to move on to your picks for this week. We've got one each, and I'm going to give the floor to Calum. What's your pick for this week's Ante Post?
Probably the first really out there one of the series so far. It's Put the Kettle On at 25-1 for the Ryanair Chase.
All right, okay.
Now they are going to step her up and trip. Do you want to go to a Mare's Chase or do you want to go to the Ryanair? Given that it's a 2-time Grade 1 winning horse at Cheltenham Festival, won the Champion Chase and won the Arkle, why would you go down to Grade 2 company to not have an allowance and run against your own sex in a much weaker race?
Yeah.
Less race. I think she's entitled to go for the Ryanair. I think the John Durkin was a mind-boggling mess of a race, really, and I think there is a chance that Allaho will go backwards from that run rather than forwards on the fitness front, because that was a big training first time out effort for a horse that was maybe under the weather a little bit, and he might pay the price till the end of the season. So that's the angle to take him on, and it's the only one, I must confess. But her jumping is better at speed. She shapes as if she'll stay. She loves Cheltenham. She's a spring horse. She'll get £7. It's a Grade 1. I'm taking a chance that we'll go there with her and do it. And it'll be like the Undersow race. Undersow get collared by Henry de Bromhead's Balco de Flo. Rachel will come and stalk Allaho and win and cause the upset. And Put the Kettle On, who again will be overpriced and underrated on the Cheltenham record. Understand there's a lot to find, but I was like Fakir Duderi went backwards. after his reappearance. I was expecting a lot more from him. And the others look relatively exposed because you were hoping that something would come and challenge. And, Yanadil did, and Mellon kind of tried to, but they were all within striking distance for a long way, and they were all kind of travelling the same and struggling running the fumes. So by not running that race, it seems to be a positive anyway, I think, for Put the Kettle On. And it's like 25-1 for that is overpriced. I would forget about the Mayor's Chase and go there.
I'm surprised at it because I think I see your point. I see your point of view. The only thing is I'd be very surprised if they don't try and defend the title in the Champion Chase.
Yeah, they're not doing that because of the Schlur.
Have they definitely ruled that out?
Not 100%, and nothing's ruled out in horse racing terms.
I just like you very rarely see that, do you? I think the horse has every right to defend their title. Do you know what I mean? Like it's.
I know, but they did shape up that badly. Blatantly obvious she needs further, and with Shishkin and Energamine coming in as well, it's going to be probably a bit better race. And if Shakan actually fires, it would certainly be a better race. So, I just think go for the Ryan Ayreson's option, and that's why the price is there, because it is an uncertain avenue. But if it was mine, that's where I would go.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I totally see the argument for it, and it's one of those. I usually when you pick your Ante-Post picks, I'm like, yeah, I see the argument that. I was surprised at this one. I'm not going to lie, but I see your point. I do see it.
Yeah, and it's each way as well.
Aye, definitely. Brilliant selection. One of those exciting ones. I'm going to take another stab at the Triumph Hurdle, and I picked Gentleman Joe, who didn't shape well at all. But this is another one who I'm a shot in the dark because we haven't seen him over hurdles. But I think Bernard for Joseph O'Brien could have a little bit of flat class, and I think he could have the instinct of being another Sir Eric. I think it was a Queen's Vase. I think he was he fourth in that. I think like that Queen's Vase was really good, and there's a lot of really good horses in that. I think Yeber was good in that as well. You've got a lot of good horses to come out of that. I think this is the one they're firing towards the Triumph. We saw Champion Green. I think there was a lot of write-up about him. He just didn't travel at all. Bernard looks to be that little bit better in the flat, and I just think there's JP McManus doesn't buy a horse and send it to Joseph O'Brien unless he's got an idea for a season over hurdles. We've seen it with Sir Eric. I keep saying Sir Eric's one of the best hurdlers I've seen. This one could be similar. But yeah, I mean, Bernard for me, but obviously we haven't seen him. We don't know if he jumps a hurdle, but I just think his flat form entitles him to be about 20-1. So I would put up Bernard this week for my Ante-Post pick.
Yeah, worth a shot in the dark, isn't it? And if he does translate that flat form to Triumph form, he'd be very hard to beat.
I've given up on Gentleman Joe, so let's just throw another dart into the Triumph.
Again, I mean, like LME, even big guns. I mean, Kilcrut, some of them their first day at school. Horses are not machines. They will throw in a poor run. Whether you can forgive and forget some of them is sometimes quite hard to do for punters. But when value is very thin in the ground, I think generally, I do think you've got to really try and think outside the box.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not getting any value now out of a lot of horses.
You be more forgivable about certain runs. I mean, you could have forgiven Nubi Negro's run more than Shack and Poursois in the Tingle Creek, for instance. Is pushing him out back to 25-1 really? It's a bit of an overreaction. You can just freshen him up and go there. Like third time lucky, and freshen him up. He's better fresh. So the skeletons might come back in that front. So I would encourage people not to. I wouldn't be too downhearted by if you're an LMA or Shack and Poursois, or the horses can have bad runs and they can come back for their main target really towards the end of the season. Yeah,
definitely. But that was our Ante-Post picks for this week. That'll do us for this week's episode. I want to thank Calum as always for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, lots to get through, but I think we managed it.
Yeah, we managed it. If you've forgotten any horses, please leave a message in the comments. But thanks very much to everyone that's tuned in. Please follow us on social media for consistent National Hunt Racing content all the way through from now till Cheltenham. And as well, subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.